Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we are honored to have Rob Karnafel, if I'm saying that right. But you know, it doesn't matter. He's better known as Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Yes. Thank you to Josh Turner from Paranormal Roundtable, who's been helping us get guests for the show, and he might be joining us later. And I know Rob there has to be up early tomorrow morning. So do I. Actually. So we won't probably do a 3-hour show, maybe 2.5, because I know he's got, me and him probably have to get 4 hours of sleep is about the closest we're going to get if we go too long. But we will have time to take your guys' phone calls later in the show, especially if you've had a cryptid encounter, because Rob is the author of Bigfoot Michigan Rob's Presents True Cryptid Encounters Volume 1 and 2. And he's had an amazing cryptid encounter in 2018 that really, I think it's going to blow my audience's mind tonight. I cannot wait to talk to him about it again. Thank you to Josh Turner for bringing him on. And I just want to announce, too, real quick, if you're tuning into the show, and I'll try to announce it later. Last Sunday, we had Tex on from Texas Front Porch. He has his show on Monday nights at 8 p.m. I will be a guest on his show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I'll try to mention it later for more people joining us. But check it out, Texas Front Porch on YouTube. Got a lot of weird to get to in the World Wide Web of Weird, and then, like I said, an awesome guest, so let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Rob Karnafel, will be joining us after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. And it'll be his first time on the show. I can't, give more big shout out to Josh Turner for Paranormal Roundtable. Has been really helping us out find guests. I used to be booked with guests out months in advance, and it's just been real dried up lately. I don't know why. I've been trying to get really high-quality guests, and man, Josh Turner has not disappointed on that. Joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you do tonight, Jamie?
Doing well, thank you.
Glad to have you here.
Tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow night.
Was great.
He was awesome, man. He was a great guest. We're going to have to get him back on. I feel that's going to definitely be the same deal with Rob tonight, too. We'll have to be able to get him back on. But if you know somebody who wants to be a guest, their contact information, you can email me at paranormalsoupjbland@gmail.com. You can find that in the description of the show. You also find other links to Patreon. You can support us on there. I'm going to shamelessly plug. You help pay the bills for the show. And we now have YouTube membership. You can become a YouTube member. We're going to try to start doing some things this summer for YouTube members as we build up enough people in the membership program. We're going to do some exclusive things for them on YouTube. And I want to do still for and my patrons, too. We want to do it for the patrons this summer. We're going to try to do some exclusive stuff for them. All right, guys, we got a lot of weird to get to. So let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I thought I'd start out with this story because we've had a few of them in the last few World Wide Web of Weirds about UFO instances over airports in Turkey, and we have another one. UFO sighting shuts down airport in Turkey. Travelers at a major Turkish airport found their flights delayed earlier this week after an odd UFO sighting. You know where I don't want to see it is on a plane up in the air. I'll say it a billion times. I don't want to see a plane up in the air. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio channel on the Talkstream Live Paranormal Radio app, that's a lot of words. We are a live webcast streaming out to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch if you want to watch. Otherwise, I will narrate as best as possible, which isn't great, but, you know, you'll just have to deal. All right. Let me get the share screen up. I guess, Rob, I don't know. I think I saw he had on his Facebook. He had something going on tonight, too, didn't he? All right. Let me see here. All right. Yes. Let me get this first article up. Any day now. Hey. There we go. We'll pull it up bigger. All right. UFO alert in Turkey's Gaziantep flight halted. That's the original article. I got Tim Binnells from Coast to Coast AM. Travelers at a major Turkish airport found their flights delayed earlier this week with an odd UFO sighting caused the sites to shut down for several hours. According to local media report, the weird incident occurred on Monday evening when a pilot near the Gaziantep, if you say that, airport spotted a bright glowing object visibly in the sky, though not on radar. The mystified witness contacted aircraft traffic control about the anomaly that he estimated was flying at an altitude somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 feet. In a testament to the seriousness with which officials treated the strange sighting, all traffic at the airport was halted while the case was investigated. Flights resumed around 3 hours later after authorities determined that the glowing object, though still unidentified, was not a threat. I think if it's anything to do with airplanes, safety-wise, anything you can't identify is a threat. I'm just saying. Particularly in third instance this year where UFOs have caused a commotion in Turkey. In late January, several airline pilots reported that their automated collision warning systems had been triggered by anomalous objects, but there's been more. There's been other UFO sightings besides this. I don't know if Tim Binnell is aware of that we've been covering. I mean, Turkey's had some amazing UFO sightings caught on video. I feel like there's something going on there in Turkey, big time. But this could also be related to things going on globally. Turkey will be a hot spot in a World War III scenario. I don't know. All right, we'll move on. And Jamie, I saw just last minute, too. Shout out to Jamie had posted, you see on her page. I didn't include the World Wide Web Weird, but they're trying to make California's Bigfoot the Californian mascot or something.
Scripted, yeah.
Yeah, but then he's like, it was like a throw-out bill. I read the article like really quick, and I'm like, yeah, just anything to take people's attention away. Oh yeah, all right. Oh, I'm getting to. Where's the pause button? Hide that. God, it's so much better. We'll leave it here. This guy probably weird shot angle here, but I found this kind of interesting and maybe concerning. I got this from the Unexplained Mystery site. Young man who was from a tribe with next to no knowledge of the outside world approached a village in Brazil, and it's difficult to imagine to this day and age that there could still be communities of people who are so cut off from the outside world that they know almost nothing about what lies beyond their borders. Nonetheless, such communities can still be found in the remote regions of the Amazon rainforest. Just this week, villagers in Bela Rosa, Brazil, were shocked when a man from such a tribe suddenly turned up at their community after after dark and started speaking to them in an unknown language. The man was quite young, was wielding 2 wooden sticks that he registered in such a way as to communicate that he was looking for fire. One of the locals tried unsuccessfully to demonstrate how a lighter worked. When officials arrived, they escorted the man to a nearby facility for medical evaluation. It is understood that efforts will be made to ask nearby Jumba tribe, whose original population consists now of only 3 women, to try to communicate with him. Wow. It's currently clear how far he'd come or how many of his own tribe remain in the rainforest. They are, so much rainforest has gotten destroyed, and they know some of these tribes out there have been not had any contact with human civilization. They're out there. I wonder how bad things could be for where his tribe is that he ventured all this way, maybe to look for help. This is some video here from the AP. I don't want to show too much, get in trouble, but that's him there. I'm afraid for this kid too, because dear God, immunity wise to whatever the heck we've got now. It's bad, but what's forcing him out of the jungle? Probably a bunch of all the devastation they're doing in the rainforest. It's sad. All right, we'll move on. All right, Jamie, I saw you shared this one. I had seen it too. You knew I was going to cover it. Creepy synthetic human protoclone is another step towards the T-800. I'll be back. Yes, right. Don't I have that? I don't know. No. Somewhere. Well, yeah, we're just gonna make James Cameron's vision come to real life. That's what's happening. In the Terminator movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 is comprised of solid metal and endoskeleton surrounded by living tissue, giving him the appearance of a normal human. Now, Polish startup Clone Robotics has come up with a prototype with a new type of robot that could easily be imagined as a stepping stone towards something very similar to the T-800, known as the Protoclone. The robot has been described as synthetic human that has a body that looks a lot like an actual human flesh with synthetic skin and muscles that are very eerily lifelike. In recently released footage, the prototype can be seen suspended from an apparatus while its limbs flail and move around in a realistic manner. Hold on a sec, I totally butchered that. Can't get my article to move up. There we go. The fact that the head is just a black visor and a little else doesn't exactly help. Described by the firm as the world's first bipedal musculo-endoskeleton, or android, Protoclone takes a different approach to most modern robots by trying to emulate the muscles, joints, and ligaments of actual human body. You know what it reminds me of is Westworld revamp they did with Anthony Hopkins, if anybody's seen that. It really reminds me, like, there's a lot of... like you see, like the robots in the making and stuff, the way they look, the muscles and stuff. That's what it looks like. It's creepy. Either way. I mean, do you want your the next gen of Tesla robot to look like that, right?
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's coming though. It's coming. You know it is.
Did you see the robot DJ, the wartime robot?
No.
They had him. Well, it's a wartime robot made for special operations, but to make him more fun, they put him out as a DJ doing some like DJ gigs.
Yeah, it's coming. The T-800. We're going to get it. These people just want to make sure it happens. That's all.
For sure. It's a matter of time.
I mean, I'm all sci-fi geek. There's part of me that wants to see it. There's a little part of me wants to see technology if it was used right, but I know how that ends. I know. Enough sci-fi movies have told us. But science fiction, and all that and stuff, my best favorite science fiction movies is stuff that always has to do with the afterlife. And this next story, science is delving into the afterlife still more. I know Bigelow has his own research he's funding for this kind of stuff now. He's out of the UFO business, but this study, original article from the Metro. Of course, I think there's several different people that have articles on this. Mysterious burst in brain activity during death could be evidence of souls. I got this from Unexplained Mysteries as well, a little bit shorter article. Burst of brain activity after death could be soul leaving the body. That's their title. Leading psychologists identified unusual bursts of brain activity that occurs after a patient has died. Do we possess such a soul that persists after we die, or is consciousness produced entirely within the physical brain? It's a question that scientists, psychologists, and philosophers have been attempting to definitively answer for centuries, and a conundrum that we seem to be no closer to solving. That said, Dr. Stuart Hameroff, a professor of anesthesiology and psychology at the University of Arizona, believes they may be closer than the most finding an answer. Back in 2009, researchers at George Washington University placed a small sensor in the brains of patients deemed to be clinically dead just before their life support machines were turned off. Surprisingly, they recorded unexpected brain activity, sometimes lasting up to 90 seconds, occurring after the patient had died. Dr. Hameroff now believes that this could be the evidence of a soul leaving the body upon death. The research also suggests that consciousness may be the last thing that goes when we die. As the brain reaches a critical level of hypoxia and the action potential electrical signal that shoots down a neuron is lost by large numbers of neurons, and this loss of electrical potential causes a cascade of electrical act. The study research wrote, "We offer this as a potential explanation for the clarity in which many patients have out-of-body experiences when successfully revived from a near-death event. But is this really evidence of a soul leaving the body or simply the activity of a dying brain?" None of that's ever going to be able to prove it right now.
Extremely.
One of my favorite movies I just saw was available, I think, on Prime. Was Christopher Walken. We need more cowbell. Brainstorm. Have you ever seen that, Jamie? Brainstorm from the 80s.
Yeah, a long time ago.
In that, they can scan people's like their experience, their visual and sensory experience. And one of the researchers is dying and is having a heart attack, and she records it in this machine. So now they have somebody's death recorded in it, and it's like playback. I know, sorry, spoiler. I really should do a Paranormal Soups, like movie review. I really should of all my classes, right? Of all these movies, I really should. What do you guys think? Maybe we could leave it for the release it on the membership channel for a little while and then release it later. Yeah,
because a lot of them are they go along with what's going on now and fills in a lot of puzzle pieces.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a human imagination, discover stuff. I don't know. All right, next up, remember we covered this, Jamie? This similar story years ago? You see the title here? Yeah. Mysterious seed packets from China are being delivered to Texas residents. What?
I got a seed packet, and I freaked out about
California residents, too. So not just Texas, then. You're California. Hey, you're free to call in tonight, guys, during open lines, even though it won't be part of our guest topic, but just to call in and mention, hey, I got the seed packet, too. I would like to know, because we covered this years ago.
I am not going to plant these, God knows.
Well, it's happening again in Texas and California, according to what Jamie's got. According to reports, multiple residents across the state of Texas recently received an unexpected delivery of seed packets sent from an unknown address in China. The phenomenon echoes a very similar spate of unsolicited seed deliveries reported in 2020, though in that case, the package had been sent to local distributors rather than directly to mailboxes. The Texas Department of Agriculture has since been analyzing the seed packets to see if they contain seeds of plants that are invasive or potentially dangerous to the local area. Officials have so far recovered around 20 seed packets and have determined that at least some of these are water lilies, an aggressive plant that can quickly cover the surface of entire lakes. Question is, who is sending these packets and for what purpose? These are being shipped straight from China, to the consumer, said Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller. We think they have ordered from Temu. It's how they get their address. They all seem to have a link that they have ordered something from China, but they didn't order these seeds. They're coming in completely different shipments. The story doesn't end, however. Some of these packages have unidentified liquid in them, which is very bothersome. Did yours have liquid, Jamie?
No, but I did order something that I found out was coming from China, and that's what I ended up with. And it changed tracking numbers twice.
Yeah, you have seeds. You plant. You destroy your country, you evil American. Sorry. Now my theory and hope, I hope I'm wrong, is that they may just be testing our biosecurity, seeing what they can get by with, what they can get in. Anyone who receives a packet of seeds is being advised not to throw them in the trash, but to instead contact their local agricultural department. The problem just doesn't go into landfills without destroying the seeds, is that they may actually sprout and get away from us, said Miller. We don't need that. Man, how nefarious China! How nefarious. Like, it's mailing, like, nefarious plant seeds to people. So hoping that they just throw them away or plant. Ooh, let me plant. I just got some magical seeds.
Hey, I just got some special things in the mail from God knows who.
I was waiting for the story for somebody who smoked them. You know, no, not suggesting that. I'm just saying somebody's going to do something stupid with these seeds. But I'm just saying, like, but how nefarious. I mean, when they say China plays the long game, man, they aren't kidding.
They really do. They really do.
Oh, we send you evil Americans. She seeds you plant, and then 50 years from now you'll be invaded by water lilies. Water lilies up your American asses. Okay.
Take over all our crops.
I'd be really offensive. I'm sorry. China. All right.
Yeah. And his email.
But seriously, that is crazy. That is crazy, isn't it? I mean, come on, people. That is crazy. You know, I mean, I don't think this is some misunderstanding. It costs money to ship these seeds. Nobody's accidentally sending these seeds. I'm just saying. All right, on to this next one. I think it's important people to pay attention to these kind of stories. This guy's actually out of Indiana, where I'm from. I'd love to have him on the show to talk about his work, but sadly he had to talk about this poor priest. Priest says someone is impersonating him and offering exorcisms for money. Of course. Brookville, Indiana, a tri-state priest is warning that someone is impersonating him on social media and offering exorcisms. Father Vincent Lambert leads worship at St. Michael's Catholic Church in Brookville, in southern Indiana. He said he performed exorcisms for almost 20 years, but now someone has been pretending to be him for more than a year and offering exorcisms, rosaries, and holy water for money. Unfortunately, a lot of people who believe they are dealing with demonic are very vulnerable. They took a recent interview that I did and dubbed over my voice with AI, so they're able to add their own words with my actual image. Jeez, this is the day we're living in, people. The priest has been in the public eye because of his decades of experience in exorcism. I recognize him from the picture. I know I've seen him in other things. He was really familiar. And the name is, too, so I know I've seen him in something. His secretary found a Facebook page where someone was pretending to be him offering exorcism and holy items for hundreds of dollars. However, he's not even on social media and said he communicates with parishioners via email. I had a gentleman in Germany tell me that the person got him to pay them $2,000 thinking I was flying to Germany to do an exorcism for him. I've had people show up here for appointments, people I did not know, but this person actually got people to give up $300 for an appointment. I mean, what kind of low-life piece of crap are you? I mean, whoever the nefarious people doing this, I really hope you burn in hell. The church does not charge for exorcism, he noted. It's considered to be a ministry of charity, so the church would help anyone. That should set up a red flag to anybody. Remember that. Father Vincent said that Facebook page that his secretary found purporting to be him blocked her, and then posted. Then a post appeared on it about fake conferences to get money from people. He said he has following message to whoever is pretending to be him. You can fool people in this life, but you ultimately have to give an account before God one day. Because if you're genuinely wanting to help somebody, you're going to put a price tag on that. Father Vincent says he's spoken with the law enforcement, but there's no active case right now. He said the person he believes is pretending to be him could be anywhere. Yeah, I mean, he might not be in this country. It's sad, really sad. I feel bad. I'd love to have this guy on. Anybody had his email contact? I'd love him come on here just to talk about his work and rant about this lowlife that is doing this, robbing people their money that are, like you said, vulnerable, very vulnerable. When people are, if you don't believe in it, whatever. But I know, people go through hell in these instances, and then they get taken by some internet scammer. Just be careful, people. Don't trust Facebook or internet or anything like that. And they're faking it, the whole images with the AI. We've talked about that now a lot this year. All right, on to the last one. I don't know how I feel about this one. And I had something weird before the show happened when I was reading this article. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of you who are Art Bell fans, and I am, have seen recently the post going around that late legendary host Coast to Coast AM could soon be getting his own biopic. According to reports, several big names, including Amazon and Warner Brothers, have been biting on a pitch for a biopic movie about the life of Art Bell, with Paul Giamatti set to star as the man himself. I mean, Paul Giamatti is a great actor. I mean, they're going to need a good actor. but I don't know how I feel about it. I'm really torn. Like, I would love to see it. I really would love to see it, because I'd love more people to know about Art Bell.
And it depends how true they stay to them, and if they don't just put in a bunch of, you know, fluff that.
I'd love to see it.
Their motives are, or intent with this.
Yeah, I'd love to see it if they, you know, are fair and
doing justice.
I just don't trust Hollywood. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really. I'm scared of this. I honestly am scared of this.
The
only thing I can hope is they do a good job enough to get people interested to hear and learn about Art Bell and I mean, there's so much, stuff that he did, interviews and stuff. I mean, they're timeless. You can listen to these interviews now. I approved that point with my my son when we went on a road trip once. He was totally sucked into Art Bell, and we go on road trips. We listen to Art Bell, old reruns. And when I was thinking about this, I was playing. I have a preset list of music I listen to before the show starts, and the first song I start off every night is, personally, because it's one of my favorite bands, because my parents' favorite band, and first band I ever saw when I went to a live concert of was Moody Blues, and it's Ride My Seesaw. And that was Art Bell, one of the big songs he always played. He was a big Moody Blues fan. I was playing that song. I always say "For Art" when I play it. And right after I said "For Art," and I say it out loud, I say, "This one's for you, Art," and I always play it just because, the guy influenced me big time. And I'm reading this article on this, the music stopped. Something hit the play button. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he didn't want me to talk about this article. I'm sorry if I did, but I don't know. Maybe that was just saying no, he doesn't like the idea of a biopic. I don't think he would. I think he would hate it. I don't know him. I never knew Art Bell. I don't know him at all, but from listening to him, he felt like a friend in the night. I don't think he'd like it. I wouldn't like it. Honestly, if I was big, I would never want a biopic of myself. I would, oh my God. I don't want to ever see somebody reenact being me. I just really don't. I had an opportunity to tell one of my paranormal experiences on the TV show, and I turned it down because I really just don't want to see reenactments. It just makes me uncomfortable. All right, tonight, that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Our guest tonight is Rob Karnafel. You know him as Bigfoot Michigan Rob, author of True Cryptid Encounters, Volumes 1 and 2. He's our guest tonight after this commercial break. We'll be back with him. A little bit shorter show tonight, which we have some of those, and I have to be up early. Rob's got to be up early, but we will have enough time to take phone calls later in the show if you want to call in tonight. Are you getting mysterious seed packets from China? Call in on that one. I want to hear. Jamie did. They're saying Texas, but obviously California. China. I don't know. All right, we'll be right back with a short commercial break.
You were brought here for one purpose, necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please, no.
And death to the living. Necromancy. Starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself. And the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman. I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova, who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got a medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Rob Karnafel, sorry. Totally butchering that, but you know what? You know what we know him as is Bigfoot Michigan Rob, or BMR. He's a successful media and YouTube personality with his channel Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He's the author of 2 books found on Amazon, Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters Book 1 and Book 2. His shows are Beyond BMR, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Late Night Saturdays, 11 p.m. Eastern. He's one of the few that has not only seen a Bigfoot, but had his actually vocalized directly at himself and his girlfriend one summer day in 2018. This has led him down to that rabbit hole of otherworldly beings. He's a paranormal and UFO experiencer to boot. He can be found on all social media platforms and podcasts, and his books are available on Amazon. Again, thank you to Josh Turner from Paranormal Roundtable for finding us guests lately. And he's not disappointed, and he's definitely not tonight with our guest, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. We got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the show. All right, we got to get him here in the panel. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Hey, I'm good. How's it going? Thanks for having me on. And you were close to saying the name correctly, but that's okay. Karnafel.
I stumbled all over the second time I was trying to say it. I was like, blah, blah.
You did a nice butcher job, but you know what? Hey,
Karnafel?
Karnafel. But growing up,
Karnafel. Wow, it really is off.
Yeah, well, growing up as a kid, I was Carnival. I was, all sorts of weird names. So it's all right.
That'd be a cool name, Carnival.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah. I was thinking about shortening my name to Rob Carr. That sounds pretty cool, Rob Carr.
Yeah, Karnafel, man. Go
Yeah,
with
right.
it. Go with Carnival, or you just let people butcher it and watch them be uncomfortable like me. You should get entertainment out of it.
One guy called me, my baseball coach called me Cornfeld. How the heck do you get Cornfeld?
Cornfeld! catch that goddamn ball.
Yeah, right. There you go. Oh my gosh, you're giving me bad memories, man.
Post-traumatic baseball stress syndrome. I got mine too.
You know.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the show tonight.
Thanks,
You know,
man.
like Josh Turner has been excellent in helping us find guests. Last week we had Tex from Texas Front Porch
yeah.
on. He was awesome, awesome. And I definitely want to get your books. I love the covers of them.
Yeah,
I didn't.
man.
Usually I have them shared. I don't have those tonight, but you
Yeah,
guys can
that's
see it in the show banner and all that, and the links are in the show description too.
Yeah.
But you know, I always start with my guests. You know, what got you into this? And I guess from your bio, it sounds like an incident in 2018.
You know, it was, and a quick shout out to Jason McLean. He did the artwork for my books, which again they really pop. You know,
Yeah, I love them.
I like to give Jason. He's been a friend of mine for a while. He's a illustrator, and so on and so forth. So, but you know, it's so funny. That's a great question. I love those questions. You know, everyone thinks it was 2018. I'll get into that, but you know, I never really realized until about 2018, 2019, 2020 that my life with this paranormal stuff started back in when I was 5 or 6 years old.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
You know, it doesn't.
That's how it always ends up.
You know, and you reflect back on life. I saw ghosts as a kid, and I seen my mom rushed me and my brother out of the bedroom when we were getting ready for school, and there was a UFO hovering in the backyard.
Yeah. We're gonna get to all these, man.
Yeah, and then life,
I want to get to a lot of these.
Life goes on, man. I saw ghosts at my bar. I owned a bar for a while. Just many weird experiences. But it wasn't until 2018 that sent me really on the journey. That's really how my entire podcast started in like 2021 or 2, I think it was 2021. So yeah, quite a life of weirdness, high strangeness.
See, I've had for myself. I mean, ever since my earliest memories, I've had weirdness. You know, I saw a green floating head come flying through the room with my cousin. We were like 5 years old, but it scarred my mind to the fact that I can still picture it to this day, and I hear the wailing, and you know, just left me open to the idea that anything's possible. I don't know if that's the trick to it. You know, you have an early experience as a child, it leaves you open to these things, or we're just born to be open to these things. But you find when people say, "Oh, I had this Bigfoot experience," I'm like, "Oh, but have you had anything else?" "Oh, yeah, I once saw this ghost." "And oh, there was this UFO." You know, like that. People are more open; that they have the perception to see it than others.
I think they do, and I never really thought about that until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, to be honest with you, because when I had the other experiences, I just brushed them off as a young child. My parents always told me, "Rob, you're having a nightmare." And then when I seen several ghosts as I got older in life, in my 20s and 30s, I'm like, there's something odd about this. And then I remember, you know how your family, your mom and dad will always tell you you're having a nightmare. Well, looking back on my life, they weren't all nightmares. I suppose as a kid they were, but the nightmares were actual reality, you know, and which led me up into the biggest event that I've ever came across, you know, not too long ago, back in 2018.
I don't know. It's up to you if you want to start with the 2018 or
yeah, you know,
I would think you should start there since
it's
this
a great
is the
way
eye opener.
It's a great way to start because, well, I'll get into it because for me it is. I don't like dating back from 5 or 6. I like telling where I'm at today because of what happened. So yeah, this was June 15th. I remember the dates, June 15th of 2018. And so I was dating this girl, Cindy, at the time. We've been together for maybe a little over a year and a half or so. And one day I says, "Hey, Cindy, you know, for our relationship to blossom, I'm an outdoorsy type of guy. I like to fish. I like to experience nature, right?" She's like, "Okay, where are you going with this?" I said, "Well, I rented a cabin on Lake Cadillac, which is northwest of where I live, closer toward the Upper Peninsula." And I'm like, "Yeah, I rented the cabin. I rented a little skiff, and we're going to do some fishing." And she goes, "Really?" I go, "Well, yeah, really." And she's like, "Well, what's there to do for me?" I said, "Well, number one, you're going fishing with me. And number two, I made sure it's a quaint little town. There's a lot of shops, restaurants. You know, you can do your girl stuff. So I made sure there was things for you to do."
You did way better than I did.
I did.
I made my wife go on a 2-mile out, no restroom facilities anywhere, hiking, camping trip on our first vacation trip together. You did better than I did.
Well, I was still in that inaugural, courting, a year.
I was too.
Oh, you were.
I was
well,
too.
okay, well.
I was really pushing my luck.
Yeah, well, but then I said, no, you're doing the fishing. Now, the boat I got could have been bigger. Okay, as you'll find out a little later.
We need a bigger boat.
Right. Jaws, my favorite movie.
Oh, his eyes rolled over white.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I love that movie, dude.
That's
Look,
awesome.
I'm Goonies. I'm a Spielberg fan. I hope he's not a Satanist. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I tune out Hollywood.
I know.
That's another whole nother show, man.
Yeah, we're not doing get into
that.
that.
No, yeah. So we get up to Lake Cadillac. Now, this is in Wexford County, Michigan. Now, Wexford County, as I find out later in my life here, is it's the county of Dogman. It's the capital of Dogman, allegedly in Michigan.
Yeah.
But I was also where the Lake Cadillac backs up to is the Manistee National Forest. Now, the Manistee National Forest in the state of Michigan, it rolls. I always say the West Coast to the East Coast, even though we're not a coastal state. But, we have the Lake Michigan on the west, Lake Huron, Lake Erie in the east, Superior to the north, Ontario. So everything. So the entire forest, once you get out of Michigan, out of Flint, Michigan, another hour or two, this forest is expansive. There's many legends of high strangeness, UFOs, cryptids, cursed lands. So a very enchanting and haunted forest. Of course, I knew none of this, wasn't into any of this in 2018. I just want to catch some fish. So we get to Cadillac. I get in. We get in there early, maybe 6, 7 in the morning. Get the cabin set up. Find the little skiff down by the water's edge. Take it over to this little dockside marina in town. Get some bait, and we proceed off. Now Lake Cadillac, for everybody listening, very big lake. Go on Google Earth, and you'll see, if you go to the northwest, you'll see it. It's big, and there's another adjoining lake called Lake Mitchell, which in fact is just as big, but not as renowned, right? Not as well known. So Cadillac is surrounded by a lot of beautiful homes, as you might expect. A lot of small mom and pop businesses, small little industries. Nice place, nice little village, if you will. So we get out early in the morning. It's not, well, of course, it's right around 10 in the morning, and I got the girlfriend up at 6, Cindy, and of course, putzing around. I wanted to be on the water by 8, and then we get on the water at 10. I said, okay, whatever. So we get out, doing some fishing. About an hour and 20 minutes goes by, and not a bite, and I'm kind of not paying attention because I'm looking at the beauty of this lake and all the houses and things, and not a soul on the lake really. It was like a Wednesday, middle of the week. Cindy's getting kind of bored, and I can tell. I said, well, let's traverse about the lake then. Let's do some exploring. So we take the little skiff boat, and we're kind of perusing about. Then we come across this channel. I think it was man-made, and then we venture through this, and then all of a sudden we ended up on Lake Mitchell. Now, Lake Mitchell directly backs up to the Manistee National Forest, and it's beautiful. Not as many homes. Is it built up? Yeah, but the homes are far and few in between. There was like a little public access, a little public park, but it's beautiful. So, not that Cadillac isn't, don't get me wrong. It's more inclusive, right? More secluded. So,
are there a lot of private property owners around there? Like people that have big swaths of private property?
On Cadillac, there is the Cadillac Lake. Yes.
Yeah.
Mitchell, there are some nice ones, but it's not nearly as built up. But people do live there. Don't get me wrong, but not quite like Lake Cadillac. So I'm going down the shoreline, and then I come across this cove. It's at the far southwest corner of Cadillac now. It's like a little bay. So I align the boat parallel to the shoreline. I'm maybe 90 feet out. and I put the little trolling motor on, and we have a little slow drift. So I get ready to prepare the tackle, the rods, the reels. And Cindy's checking out the nature, and she's a little more excited because it was really beautiful. And so yeah, I'm looking down, and as you know, I'm looking at the rod and reel. I'm attaching a lure or whatever it was, and Cindy's standing up on the boat, and she's looking toward the shoreline, and she goes, "Hey, Rob." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "I think somebody just tossed a rock at the boat." I'm like, "What?" I look out. I said, "I don't see anything." And she's like, and I said, "Just let me hang on for a minute. Let me continue on with the bait and tackle." She goes, "Yeah, okay, whatever." A minute later goes by. Rob, she's more emphatic. Someone's throwing rocks at the boat. I just seen a rock splash about 10 feet in front of the boat. I look at her. I looked at the shoreline. I said, "Cindy, look at the shoreline. Nobody's throwing rocks from the shore. I don't see anybody." And the shoreline that we were was it was all the woods dropped right into the woods dropped literally into the lake. There was no beach or nothing. There were some areas that were kind of dug out where maybe you could camp and have a little small pop-up tent, but there's nothing expansive. I said, "Hey, listen, honey, here's the thing. Maybe there's somebody throwing rocks. I don't know. I don't see them. Let me put the gear together." Okay. So just as I start getting back to doing what I'm doing with the fishing gear, for an unknown reason, I happen to look up into the sky, excuse me. And I do like to paint this picture for everybody because there's really a reason behind this. It was not a cloud in the sky. It was brilliant blue sky. The sun already is out. Now it's getting closer to 12. It's maybe 11:40, 11:45. Beautiful. The backdrop of the forest, lush, beautiful forest. So perfect, picture perfect. So I look up and I see this object falling clearly out of the blue sky, and it lands about 4 to 5 feet in front of the little skiff.
Back up for your mic a little bit. You're muffling yourself a little bit. Sorry.
It's okay. No, thank you. So, kerplunk, a rock about the size of a baseball, no kidding you, drops right into the water.
Oh, man.
And I look to a Cindy. She's standing there. And she's a gaze into the tree line. And at this time, on the 15th of June, she already had a ripping tan going. She was a sun worshiper. Already had a tan by this time in the summer. Head to toe, she's white. And I know she's seen.
She lost all of her color.
Lost all of her colors, drained from her body. I'm like, that is so odd. Then I looked at the shore and I see why. And again, man, we're 90 feet. We're pretty darn close. It's like running from first to second base in baseball for those, draw that analogy. There's this creature, man. It's standing there in a little open area. Has to be 8 or 9 feet tall. But it had from head to toe, it was beautiful. The coloring of this thing was reddish brown, shaggy hair. Then I'm getting a closer look at this thing, and his face reminded me. I'm thinking this is not a bear or anything because the face looked almost human-like, but it was a very crusty gray face. This thing had like big oversized eyes, but they were like offset kind of. And he looked very strange, kind of ancient looking, but the face was just kind of disfigured. I used to say it looked like a person with Down syndrome. I've been saying that for years, and people say, "Rob, you shouldn't say that on air." Well, I get it, and I'm sorry for people that suffer from that, but it was disfigured. Looked like it had a stroke, perhaps. I don't know, but I can see this thing vividly. Then, and its arms are on the side, then all of a sudden it raises its arms. It takes its arms from its sides, because they're at the side position. Then he raises them out, kind of like an airplane, starts doing one of these things back and forth. And this mouth opens, and I got to tell you something. The mouth, I've never seen a mouth so big on anything. It dropped. It dropped like 6 inches. It's in gaping, and it opens its mouth. you could almost fit two softballs in it. And I noticed like a set of teeth, two up top, two on the bottom, and they almost looked like fangs, man. They did.
That's what I was going to ask.
And the two bottom ones were more narrow, incisor-like looking teeth. But that was it, the dark hollowness. But those eyes, those offset eyes, they roll back black. Now, as I mentioned, that crusty old grayish old man, weird-looking skin, it got very taut, and this thing took on a metamorphosis of something that was unlike the first creature. It was that big of a transformation. And then it bellows from inside itself, and it roars its shoulders back, and it disperses this sound, a scream. I always describe it as a scream, a yell, and a growl, a grunt, if you will, a guttural sound came emanating from the shoreline from this creature. It was so intense that I felt reverberation hit me. I took a little step back. Yeah. Cindy, 5'1", 109 pounds, flips off the side, flips off of the boat, dude.
This is why you need the bigger boat.
She falls into the water.
Oh, my heart goes out to her. That's terrifying.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, it's even more. Now, that's terrifying in its sense, but what was even more scary, the reason why I always tell everybody about how I can see the brilliant background and all the beautiful colors, it all turned to me. I was looking through a filter all of a sudden when I got hit with this blast. It was grainy, almost black and white looking.
Like it affected your vision?
Yeah, and it's almost like time stood still. I mean, I know this event took under 20 seconds, but it seems like it took forever. And that creepy roar. And now, my vision is totally in another world. So I know I have to get Cindy in, but my eyes are perplexed on this creature because I want to watch where it goes. But what even scared me even more is I go to my right to get her. I'm paralyzed. I cannot move my body. I cannot move. I start shaking my head. I finally started able to shake my head. I'm shaking my head. Then all of a sudden, like whatever spell I was under or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. My vision came back. The colors came back. I was more coherent. Got Cindy, got her into the boat. I'm now scared again because I now look to the shoreline. I don't see this thing. And I don't know what it is. I knew about Bigfoot way back watching Leonard Nimoy. I'm not even thinking that.
In search of, dude. Oh my God.
In search of, we've all been there, watched his shows. But I'm not thinking that at this time. Hell, I'm not thinking anything. I don't know what I'm thinking. I can't process this.
Right.
But I'm scared. I whipped that little skiff around, almost knock her out of the boat again. I turned around so fast. And jettisoned through Lake Mitchell, got to that canal, and gunned it, opened it up all the way to Cadillac where I launched the boat. And it was in an area where it was in the backdrop. A little community was in there, a little restaurant area. I get the boat, dock the boat. We get out. I immediately look for some place to sit down because we want to get the heck out of that boat. I go up maybe a half a block. I find this little corner bar / restaurant. Now it's maybe a little after 12 o'clock, lunchtime. But again, I said it was like on the middle of the day, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So I walk in. I look to the right. There's a couple people sitting off at the end of the bar. You know, look like they were probably locals, regulars. Look to the left. I look to the left, and there's like nobody over there. So I found this corner little area with a booth for Cindy and I to go back to. So we both get back. We sit down. We're across from each other. We're not saying a word. I don't know if we knew what to say at this time anyways. So the waitress comes up to us, looks at Cindy first and says, "What you having?" Now, mind you, Jason, that and everybody listening, Cindy, I've never seen her drink a drop of alcohol in her life, right? She orders a bottle of Bud Light and a shot of Jack Daniels. And The waitress
She can't be judged for that.
No, she certainly cannot. Looks to me, of course, being a bar owner at this time in my life, I go, yeah, well, give me the same as sir, but make it a double. So we're still not saying anything to each other. And the waitress comes back, puts down the shot glass in front of Cindy, the bottle of Bud Light, my 2 shots and my 2 Bud Lights. Cindy takes that shot of Jack. She throws it back like a champ, like she's been drinking for 20 years. Takes that bottle of Bud, puts it to her lips, Bud Light. She damn near pounds it. I look at her like I'm thinking to myself, damn, girl. I did a shot and sipped my beer a little bit, washed it down. And then she goes, honey, what do you think that was we saw? And I go, honey, typical, boyfriend, girlfriend, chit chat. Honey, I don't know. What do you think that was? But we were serious, though, of course.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe it was that Bigfoot creature. Now, she and I never spoke about Bigfoot in our entire lives. That's what she came up with. And I'm thinking maybe it kind of was. I'm trying to reflect on all the things I remember of Bigfoot. But it was only Leonard Nimoy in the Patterson Gimlin film. This was not that at all, right?
Right.
So, should we call the sheriff or the local police or the DNR? I go, hang on a second, Cindy. The answer is no. I don't think anybody's going to believe this. Nothing happened to us. Yeah, you got hit with whatever and fell in the boat, as I did. So, needless to say, we ended the trip a little early because we were just so awestruck, and we're trying to process. We're seeing something that you only see in a monster movie, to be honest with you. And to me, I thought it was kind of like a demon the way it metamorphosized, and I never really told Cindy that. So we drive home. Cindy and I did not live together during this time. She lived with her mom, and I had my own place. But we didn't. We weren't living together, so we're always at each other's house, mostly mine. And we got online, man. And I've got to tell you, I was ignorant to like YouTube and stuff like that. I didn't know that YouTube had shows like this, right? So I was typing Bigfoot on the computer, reading stuff, looking up images. Nothing satisfied me. Then all of a sudden, I used YouTube for music videos. So on the YouTube, I just type in Bigfoot, demons. So all of a sudden, all these videos pop up and all these variety of shows. But still, there was nothing that really stood out to me that I really liked. But I was, feeling a little bit better about it. But Cindy was the same way. So we're into this little research, man. We're trying to figure out what happened. Didn't really tell anybody. So, as I mentioned, June 15th of 2018, we had the encounter. So, as I mentioned, she lived with her mom, and her mom hated me. I owned a bar, therefore I was the devil. She was one of those types. You're dating a guy that owns a bar, Cindy? Really? Her mom never spoke a word to me. Did not like me. So her mom calls me out of the blue on August 15th, exactly 2 months to the day. Rob, Cindy passed away last night.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, what? I'm kind of groggy. Wait, what? Could you repeat that?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm surprised her mom even called me.
Right.
She goes, yeah, I don't know. I think she had a heart attack, but she was pronounced dead at such and such a time. Then she says, I blame you.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So she hangs up the phone. I wasn't allowed to the funeral.
Oh, my God.
I was escorted off of the church grounds. I never got a full report what really happened to her, so I don't even know the cause of death.
Oh my God.
So I
This is
went
horrible.
crazy. That's horrible, man. So I went kind of bonkers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know what? Then I started blaming myself a little bit because that creature had something to do with it. Because if I was incoherent and felt weird and she felt weird, maybe that creature did it.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to Cadillac loaded with armory, man, and just blow up the
You were ready to go
place.
to war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So never got to say my goodbyes to her in a proper fashion.
Wow.
So I lost it. I owned the bar. Now I compounded by the mystery how Cindy passed, the mystery behind this beast creature, whatever it is. I saw. I always say my Bigfoot encounter. To this day, Jason, I honestly can't tell you what it
Right.
was,
Right.
but
Right.
I don't have any other label to put on it.
Right. I get
So
it. No.
so man, I go to my bar manager, who I trusted. This is like my 9th or 10th year as the owner. I said, "Look, man, here are the keys to the bar, man. I'm taking a leave of absence. I got some things to work out. I don't want to get into it with you. I'll come back when I come back. Just don't rip me off. Just put the money in the bank." And I still, back in 2018, you still have the ability to check out your bank account, but I trusted the guy. So just do me that solid, bro. So he did a good job. I didn't go back to work for 6 months. I didn't, looking
Yeah.
for answers. So I started making phone calls, going online. Then I came across a couple people. And my problem is I didn't get good information from people. I thought people were like kind of using me. Most people laughed at me until I finally got a good chain of people finally that knew about
Right.
Bigfoot and things like that, where I felt more comfortable. But I was lost. I was alone. I was in the dark. I was in a dark place. I didn't know if I was going to make it through life. I didn't know if my bar would survive. I didn't know if I would survive because there was just all this post traumatic syndrome or whatever you
Right.
want to call it going on with me.
Grief.
Oh, big time. And you can't even mourn the loss of somebody that you kind of
Right.
love.
Yeah.
I ain't going to say we're going to get married, but we were bonded,
Yeah.
So that kind of set me on my path, my journey. And then the one thing I remember, yeah, I have a YouTube channel and yeah, I write books, but looking back at what I do today isn't really all about all that. Because I remember my loss, my suffering, and I remember people not wanting to help me. I remember walking lost and alone for a long time. So I started going on a variety of shows, telling my story well before my YouTube channel. Then I decided maybe this is a calling to help people because on my show, I interview people like myself and other researchers. And I write the books and they're in anonymity from folks who just want to tell their story. Because for me, I told this story probably for the 1050th time, but every time I tell it, I feel better. For me, it's like therapy. So
Yeah.
that's why I love doing what I do today. It's not for money, success, and hey, Rob's a media guy. No, it's my journey in life for people.
No, I totally get it. It's why, one of the biggest reasons I started the show is I had what I call my, people would say demonic or shadow person experience when I was 18 that attacked me, drove me to the brink, levitated me up off my bed towards the end of it and threw me down 3 times. Like it was after me, my soul or whatever. It wanted me to
Yeah.
do horrible things. It opened my eyes to the fact that there are things beyond our perception that are evil, that are parasitic, that can do harm. And, it classified what we know as demons, as what we, maybe, or whatever. There's something we can't see interacting with us, and sometimes we can see. And one of the instances I had with this thing, after I'd had my battle and I basically, I humbled myself before God and I feel I was saved. Years later, I was sick in our first apartment, and I saw this thing in this room we never wanted to go in. It was a very haunted apartment, but this room was the worst one. The shadow come back. It was the same. I felt it. I knew it, but it showed its face to me, and it was glowing red inside the shadow, and it was bestial. It was like a beast. And so I've never had a cryptid encounter, but I became interested in the idea of, can these things manifest as our worst fears, as beasts, our primal fears? And when you tell your story about how this scene, it was almost metamorphizing in front of you.
Yeah.
The other thing that made me think of is, too, the sound when it hits you. I mean, they have LRADs, sonic weapons, low infrared sound that can basically, it's the same effects. That's what you went through. It can blur your vision, disorient you, make you feel dizzy. That's what you were hit with, was low infrared sound. I mean, it's exactly the description. Go look it up. They used it in protest in 2020.
Okay.
They started to use it. I think what state? Let me look this up. But it is an actual technology our military's been going into that. It was, I'm trying to remember what state they used it. I think they've used it now for a few times. But they can use the sound to just totally disable you. Our military's been using this technology and investigating and how to make it for decades. And people have described this instance with creatures like Bigfoot or whatever, the sound disabling them.
I was definitely disabled. I even think Cindy was probably disabled. I mean, she was a light person, so I can see where that boom, knocked her out of the boat. And I was talking to people throughout my life. They talked to me about infrasound. A lot of mammals have infrasound, right? Then they use to paralyze their prey. But I got to tell you, and I've talked to people that were hit with infrasound that maybe were nauseous and sick, but not to the extreme that I went through. So I ruled that out. And I'm glad. See, I love doing these shows. I learn something every day. I'm going to have to look that up now, because that seems more likely of what I got hit with. And what's even scary about it is that a creature has that ability. And was this even a creature? I've even gone off the rails in suggesting that these things are put here and made in laboratories. I don't think mine was. And I will say this also for the record. Today, I don't think mine was a demon. At least I hope not. I've talked to many different people. I've talked to 6 psychics, man. I've done everything. Yeah. And furthering the research, how I kind of assimilate this to like a baboon. First of all, they're ugly to begin with, but when they get mad, or if they get it in that territorial sense, how they metamorphose their face.
What's the one? The really scary one.
Yeah.
It's a smaller one. What's it called? When it opens up its mouth, it's like super scary, and it's got the teeth. What's it called?
Yeah.
They are a creepy damn.
There's creepy stuff on this planet.
Oh yeah. Oh, hold on. I gave him the link. Josh is trying to join us, but I thought I gave him the link. Let me give him.
Hey, you know what? That's a good little break for a second. I knew this was going to come up. I got a new dog. I let him out real quick. It'll take me about 45 seconds. Is that all cool?
Yeah.
Then we continue on? Yeah.
If you want, you know what? No. You do that. We'll take an early commercial break while you do that instead.
Okay.
And it'll take about 5 minutes, so you can go let your dog out.
Thanks.
And we'll get Josh in here, and you go take. Well, actually, you know what? We'll wait. We'll wait for that. You go do that, and I'll talk to Josh. We got Josh in here.
All right.
We'll bring Josh on while you do that. We'll pause on this story until you get back. And perfect timing, because he had to go let his dog out. Then we got Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on? Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the excellent guest tonight. We're definitely riveted with his experience.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's a good friend, and he's got some good information.
He's talking about this description of this creature that he saw. With the jaw extending out really big, and like I was trying to tell is that they use these LRAD weapons. They're called sonic weapons. Police departments are getting them. They used them on the protests back in 2020. I think they've used them again since then, probably. But the effects of this is military-grade technology now in police departments, is disorienting to the fact that it can actually affect your vision. You're nauseous. You're disoriented. It can do a lot of this. What he describes is his symptoms of being hit with the sound from the scene. It's like, is this some kind of defensive mechanism of this creature, or something along those lines? But this is not your typical Bigfoot, Harry and the Hendersons kind of Bigfoot.
No. No, and the description of it too, it has got this weird look to it. I've talked to Boomer about, I call him Boomer, BMR.
Boomer.
Yeah, I'm the only one that calls him that. He doesn't.
I'm not going to call him that.
I call him Boomer. I said because his Patreon people, I'm like, they're called the Boomers. He's like, no. What's up, Boomer? How you doing?
Yeah, Boomer. Josh coined that nickname. I guess he got it out of BMR, Boomer. I guess.
I got so many people have given.
All right, Boomer. That's what I think of because I got kids that'll say that to me. I'm like, I am not a Boomer. I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah,
that's where you get this kind of.
We're not Boomers, man. Definitely not a Boomer, man. So we weren't handed the greatest economy, and I'd love to tell my dad that. He gets mad. I'm like, well, I mean, it's true. My business partner too. He's kind of like a dad to me, man. I always tease him and I call him, okay, Boomer, when he makes decisions that mess up, But no, I think this description though, it fits kind of like some of these Bigfoot reports we get around here in Central Texas with these weird ashen-faced, gray-looking. Now somebody had told me these creatures that people see around Apache Pass or whatever, they look, because I have a Bigfoot on my shirt right there. They don't really look like that. They look like humanoid, but like kind of throwback, but with fur. And I've gotten people's descriptions of like giants too, that they look completely different too. Like these, like the ones you get from Afghanistan. I went through a whole bunch of them.
The Marzuli, like the Kandahar giant kind of deal.
Yeah, not just there's not just that one. There's several. That's just the most popular one. Yeah, but there were drone operators that operated these Predator drones and stuff, and they were talking about having seen these giants, but they weren't hairy. They were just big, massive looking beings. But these things aren't really huge, massive. The ones that people were seeing around Apache Pass. They're about 7-8 foot tall, which is big, but about 7.
I don't know. That's big to me.
That's bigger than us. But I mean, I've heard of them being like 8-9 feet tall, but this is about 7.5 feet, which is about the size of these dogmen. But these creatures, that's about where they top out at. It's typically like 6.5 feet to 7, and then they top off at 7.5. I don't think I've heard of them being 8 foot, but I'm saying, that's probably a 7.5 to 8, I would assume. But they have this weird sort of throwback looking, face, not like a hominid. I guess it would be like a hominin, like a human-like.
Cro-Magnon man.
Yeah. But that's I think what BMR is talking about with Rob. I think what he's describing. That's what they
it
are.
reminds me. What I picture in my mind, what he describes is there's an old Lance Hendrickson. Remember him from like Alien, Terminator,
Yeah,
all those movies?
Yeah. I know Lance. Actually, I met him personally.
Whoa, my God, dude! I would be like,
yeah.
Remember that time?
I had a guard.
I'd be like Chris Farley in Saturday Night Live. You remember that time?
Yeah, I had a guard doing that. Yeah.
Oh, I would. I'd be him. A huge Lance Hendrickson. And I only watched this movie because he was in it. But it was a Bigfoot movie. And I wish I could find it. I've tried to find it because my kids love Bigfoot horror movies, and I've tried to find this movie for years. I've never found it, but I found it once, and it's like this plane crashes in the forest, and it lands on a Bigfoot's family. But this Bigfoot that hunts them down has like almost like a human-like feature face to it, and the way the eyes are black, the way you describe it, that's what it reminds me of. This is a horror movie,
Yeah.
But that's what it reminds me of.
Hey, it's funny you bring that up, Jason, because I just seen that. I've subscribed to the Sci-Fi channel on YouTube, believe it or not. Now, it's better than the one on TV, and I just seen that movie like 2 weeks ago. It's on the Sci-Fi channel.
You're kidding me.
No,
this movie I'm talking. What's the name of it? Do you have the name of it?
It's Bigfoot something. No, I'm sorry, but
there's a billion. You put in Amazon Prime. There's like a billion trillion Bigfoot things, documentaries to movies. So it's like I've been trying to find it for my kids. I'm like, this one was actually pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. I like the Sci-Fi on YouTube. I like the B movies, and it was kind of
that's what we'll watch.
Yeah,
we make sons. We'll watch like some B stupid movies like that. Especially if it's like cryptid, like horror, they're totally into it. They want to watch it.
Yeah, I do.
Or little, stuffed doll or animatronic stuff, But that's what these kids are into. that like try to kill you.
There's a lot of cool stuff on those. Yeah, those B movies. That's where it's at today. Forget the Hollywood fluff.
My wife loves those movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Classics, dude. Classics. That's what they don't make them like they used to anymore. And I'm scared of, like I said, I don't know if you heard me in the World Wide Web of Weird about them making an Art Bell movie. I'm like, no, I don't know.
I see that. When people make documentaries about people that passed on,
biopic.
it's never.
Paul Giamatti's a great actor. I mean, if you had to pick somebody, I mean, at least they're picking a really good actor. But I don't know.
But if anyone did my story when I was gone, there's something about they never come out accurate. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I'd be so uncomfortable if I was alive and they made a biopic or something. I'd like that. If I was a person that felt important enough they did do that, I'd be so uncomfortable with it. Anyways, let's get back to your story here.
Yeah, sure.
So a lot of elements to this. Like I said, the whole infrasound sheet, her passing away, is it connected? You had a lot of questions, and so it drove you down this path of research. So where has this led you?
Well, the mystery of the death, I don't think I'll ever uncover, as far as Cindy goes, which is sad, and that haunts me the most. Today, I always say when I started doing this, telling this story, the encounter story, I always say story, everybody, because they are, but they're true.
I do that too.
I
know.
People give me, Rob, well, why do you say story? Because it's an encounter story. You should know me by now. That's how I roll. But back in the day, 2018, I called it a demon because of the metamorphosis it took. I kind of ruled out the demonic part simply because of the people I've spoken with. And I got to tell you, I'm confused as to what it was. I say it's a Bigfoot encounter. Again, don't really know what it was because all these creatures, they can metamorphosize. Was it something paranormal? It led me to believe it was something that it wasn't. I don't know. But I got to tell you, I'm even more confused about situations. I've talked to a variety of psychic mediums. Okay. Some I trust, some of my good friends suggested I talk to. One person had told me that because it was close to the Manistee National Forest, which has a lot of haunted and tainted grounds, that it came further north, and it was in an underground. Now, this is what the psychics tell me. Okay, it's in an underground mine shaft, tunnel, and it led its way to Lake Cadillac, which was, of course, Lake Mitchell, and it lost its way, and it appeared out of a portal. And when it saw me, it was just as scared of me as I was of him. And it wasn't threatening me, but that was his shock value, seeing a human, and that was a defense mechanism. And he broadcasted that.
Make sure you back up from your mic there, Rob. Sorry. Let's get
Sorry. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the psychic. It's just like remote viewing. I think they're seeing some of it. Are they going to give you all the answers on it? I don't know. I mean, to me, I still wouldn't rule out something demonic or something supernatural in the sense of not a physical creature that lives there. I mean, in a sense, that's what she's saying, the psychic's saying, because it's saying it came out of a portal, like a little bit of the mind thing, but it since had to use a portal or something to come out.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to rule out anything, even now, 5 years, what was 2018, 27 years ago? I won't rule out anything, but I got to tell you this is something that had me really thinking. I did a show a couple years ago. I had this lady on, Robin McCrae. I never told her my encounter. Now, of course, you can all find my encounter. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to see a rendition of what I'm talking about, it's on my channel, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I did a show. I did my own personal introduction on it. I tell the story, and I show the pictures that were depicted by Sibylla Irwin. And those pictures, if you look up that particular video, the drawings are 93% accurate. So just look on my channel, look for Sibylla Irwin rendition, BMR, Bigfoot story. That's what it's called.
Did you say 93%?
Yes, right. Not 100%.
You 93.
Sibylla's awesome. She did the art cover from one of my books for the Bigfoot Phenomenon.
Yeah. I love Sibylla. She's great. I've had her on before. I think you got to have her on, Josh. But anyway,
yeah, she's been on my show. She's been on your show, Jason?
Oh, sorry.
No.
So you got to get Sibylla.
Another person I need to get, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had Rob here. He's really good at looking up this stuff. I can't leave this page here to look it up. I was trying to see if I could find it on my phone and then share it over.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just on a channel. It's under Bigfoot Stories or something. Anyway, you guys can find it if you're interested. So like 2 years ago, I had this lady, Robin McCrae. And again, you guys, am I one of these guys? And I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty transparent when I say this. There's a lot of the psychic medium thing. Yes, I know there are people that are legitimate, but it's hard for me to put a finger on who's right, who's wrong, and who am I to say whether they're full of crap.
It's not verifiable. They could say anything, right? You can't verify it. It's not
you can't. Yes, but this Robin,
it's the truth.
Absolutely, this Robin McCrae claims that she has mind speak or telecommunications with these creatures. She was on my show, and we weren't even talking about my experiences. We're talking about hers. Pretty cool show. And then 45 minutes into the show, she says to me, "Hey, Rob." I go, "Yeah." Denali, which, I'm thinking GM truck, Alaska, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
At first, anyway.
Yeah, at first I'm thinking, okay, we're talking GM trucks. We're talking Alaska. Where's this going?
Alaskan Denali. You're talking about the pyramid.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, King W's, for the 350 super chat. Thank you.
Sweet. So she goes, Denali says hi to you. I go, what are you talking about? Now I'm going to back up a little bit. I never in my entire life, anybody can find my encounter story. I say it the same every time. I never, because I thought it was insignificant. There's a red barn in the area where this creature was. It has nothing to do with my encounter story, so I discard it, right? I, again, never bring it up. She goes, yes, Denali meant you no harm, she's telling me. I go, okay, where's this going now? I said, am I having one of these shows, now where I'm going to get discredited for having a goofball on? He came from a portal from around the Red Barn. Never in my lifetime have I mentioned the Red Barn. He had children in the area, she says, and he was scared of you just as you were of him. And I was floored.
That's good.
Well,
I'm saying it verifiable. That's when a psychic can.
It was verifiable, and what made a lot of sense is a previous psychic that I spoken with that I never mentioned to anybody told me about a Bigfoot coming from the north through a mine shaft, and all of a sudden came out of a portal. Did not mention the Red Barn, so I'm thinking there's some significance there. So now I'm thinking that, and I can never answer this question with 100% fact. I never will. But I'm thinking maybe more what I seen was more of a dimensional creature than a flesh and blood now.
It's demons. It's still demons.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a demon.
But what we're talking about, are things that can, manifest or coming from a different part or reality than our own. And this has been a big debate within the whole cryptid community. Is it a biological creature, or is it something that comes from another dimension, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge debate between researchers, and there's so many encounters like yours.
I'll say this: I'm out in the Aper camp. It's not just a creature. It's not a beast or an animal.
No. There's so many encounters people have that aren't just like your typical running into some kind of creature in the woods that's not been identified. There's elements like that are paranormal, that are unexplained or supernatural or defying the laws of physics. Ghost lights, orbs. I think those are the things these things travel in, honestly. I've heard guests say this, and we've talked about recently the ghost lights.
Hey, I got to tell you, Ron Moorhead was on my show last year as well, and he was like, and I'm talking to him, and he's on the show. He goes, Rob, 30 years ago when I first started research, if you'd have came up to me as a young dude and says that I think that Bigfoot's part of the woo or an alien or paranormal, he said, I would have turned you around, young man, and Said you come back and visit me when you grow up. He told me this. And he
Yeah.
goes, but on my show, he goes, Rob, today, I believe there's something other than just a flesh and blood creature. He believes, he did that book, what was it? With the book for the travels from dimensions. There's a quantum physics. He believes in that theory, and he thinks that they could be possibly alien. He goes, how come when you talked about the theory of the orbs coming from orbs? Because you're right, Jason. There's always, anytime you hear a lot of these encounters, there's always an orb involved lately. Not always, not 100%.
No, not always, but there's a lot of that encounters.
Or there's a UFO in the area. Then all of a sudden someone sees a Bigfoot or a dog man or something, 3 miles up the stream or in the mountainside or in the ridge. There's too much data out there to support otherwise.
Right. I mean, you have multiple kinds of different cryptids being seen. Besides the Bigfoot and Dogman are the top.
Yeah.
Top dogs, the top two. But there's all kinds of creatures people have seen.
Oh, yeah.
Reptilians, the Mothman, so that it implies, are we just that bad at these creatures are all just really good at hiding somewhere and we haven't found them. No, that means there's something about our reality we don't understand.
Yeah, and I still don't understand it.
Right. That synchronicities between what happened to Cindy and the event are, something you can't explain or understand to this day, but you feel there's a connection to it. But do you know? I mean, let's just say it.
That's the
you
biggest
feel it.
Like I said, when it comes to me and these cryptids, that's one thing, and it's a mystery. Yeah, and I tried all the time. I still, to this day, want to find out what happened to her. I really do, because that is a mystery. And that really clouds my judgment when
You need
we're
the
talking
closure.
about these creatures. Yeah. In a way, I suppose I still do. So that's the saddest part about this whole story. It's not that I saw some creature or some being that somebody, passed on that I blame on the encounter. As I said for the longest time, I thought I was responsible. Today, I don't think that way. I've gone on. Life goes on. But boy, I got to tell you something. I almost just sank my business because of it. Fortunately, I had good people, to help me through it.
I've said on this show about bars is I'm not much of a drinker, and some bars I have liked actually. When back in the day when I'd go visit, I felt good mojo. But most bars I know in my town,
oh well,
I feel a lot of bad mojo around the bars, the old ones that have been around a long time.
Well,
they've been different names, but there's bad mojo.
You gotta be tough. You gotta be tough inside. You gotta, You gotta stay away from those demons because you could easily be seduced by that, especially being there every day. But my bar was haunted, though.
Yeah, a lot of them are. I'm sorry.
I saw ghosts in my bar, which I never believed until 6 years into the ownership, where I saw 4 apparitions sitting at the end of the bar.
I think casinos are.
Tell me, so this was in your bar you saw?
Yeah, mine. Yeah.
What were they like? I mean, so you were, what was like, you were alone in the bar and then came back?
Yeah, well, I can tell you the story. We have time.
Yeah, we got time. I want to hear it. This is what we do.
Changing gears. This is another part of my life. This is before, this was during, I seen the Bigfoot. This happened, I already seen the Bigfoot. That's the last 2 years. I sold the bar in 2020. I got lucky.
Good time to get out.
Pre-COVID, man. And then people say, Rob, you must, can see into the future. Everybody tags me with, I'm an empath. I got psychic ability.
Right.
Okay, you guys. Yeah.
Go run a bar for years and you'll find it was just the time.
I think I've seen alien-looking people in my bar for sure. I bet you they were aliens, but that's another.
Let's get up. Okay.
Well, let's not talk about first. I tend to go all over the place. Yeah, but that's not really a story.
That's our show, though.
Yeah, of course. We
do it.
So when I started working there, and I didn't know a lot of this prior, and I had, when I bought the place, I was a rookie. I worked for Ford Motor Company for 20 years, saved up my money, bought a bar, because I always want to have a business, and I found this great piece of property. I did not know what to do with it, but I bought it, retired. Well, I didn't retire. I only had 20 years in, but I left work my whole family thought I was crazy or going into the bar business. I turned it into a bar. It was like a car wash or some other stuff, and there was a bar attached to it. Now the bar was crappy. The bar did no business. It was like a tough bar where fights broke out all the time. There was a car wash connected, but the bar had been there since Prohibition days. You know, the building, the structure itself was built during Prohibition. I find out later. Did not know it at the time. So, yeah, you know, I'm doing this. So it was kind of cool because I hired a bar manager and a head cook, and another waitress. These three people were with me for the entire 13 years I owned it. So we became great friends, and I could trust them. In fact, when I turned my keys over to them to run the place, I knew I could trust them.
That's
worth
gold in that kind of business.
Yes, that was awesome. That was worth more than gold. So maybe about the third or fourth year in, some of my main employees were telling me they think there's ghosts or spirits in the bar. And I'm like, well, what do you mean, you know? Well, at night, because in my bar, it was kind of creepy because the office was in the basement. So you had the top level of the bar, and then you went down these creaky staircase, literally, no joke, into the basement, which I ended up putting a bed down there for people that would crash if they didn't want to drive home late at night, especially the women that had to close just for their safety. And I had the computer set up. You did all your paperwork there. They would always hear voices at nighttime at like 3 o'clock in the morning after the bar has been closed. They would hear like weird voices. And we had some dishes in the bar because every once in a while when we had, it was a beer and shot place, but we did steak and lobster once every other month. So we served them on nice, yeah, no kidding. So we pull out the good silverware and the nice dishes for that. But they would come crashing. They would be sitting put away and they would crash to the ground. You know, we've heard the stories about wine glasses breaking, you know, dishes falling out of the cabinetry and breaking for no apparent reason. So that was kind of happening. But what was really weird, you guys, was the first thing at the end of the day, when you close your shift, you do a couple things. You check all the bathrooms to make sure nobody's in the bathrooms. Because believe it or not, people pass out in the bathroom. You got to get them out. And I also made sure that they cleaned off all the bar area, all the tables, the bar counter, put all the beer bottles away, clean up all the glassware before you do the paperwork. Make sure it's ready to roll when we open up at 10 o'clock in the morning the next day. Number one priority. And they were great at that. At the end of doing their paperwork about, you know, after 3 in the morning, they go up the stairs and they'll go out to the bar area. And lo and behold, there'll be a couple beer bottles on a couple tables. There'll be a shot glass on a table. There'll be a beer bottle on the bar rail. And this would happen. And they know they put all this stuff away. Go back on video camera, right? Look at footage, nothing, right? Okay. So there was a 2-week period where, and I worked from 10 in the morning typically to 10 at night. So this was 7 days a week I worked, and I didn't close. My main cook always closed and escorted the ladies out at night unless they wanted to crash. Because sometimes I let them have a few drinks after hours with the customers, and if they couldn't drive, I said spend the night. So I was cool that way. I didn't care what they did. So 2 weeks I'm closing. So I end up closing 2 o'clock in the morning, and again, same protocol for me. You know, I'm no different than my employees. I clean up the place, make sure it's ready to roll, send home the help, and I go in the basement of the bar in the office and I start doing the book work. So again, I'm doing the book work and I hear these sounds, just like almost like muffled speaking up top of the bar, in the bar area. And I stop what I'm doing. I'm distracted and I go up the stairs and get to the top. And when I reach the top level of the staircase, you can see right to the left, I had a big square bar, and to the far left there was another area with another bar. Okay, and then to the right there was glass, mirrors, and all the tables. And I get up as soon as I get to the top of the bar. The whispers, the faint speaking, it goes away. I kind of shake my head, okay, whatever. Turn around, go back down the staircase, start doing my paperwork because I want to get out of there. Now I hear it again, but now it's more pronounced. It's a little bit louder. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I go up the staircase. I get to the top of the stairwell, look to the bar, and at the far right of my vantage point on a corner are 4 apparitions. The 2 on the far were 2 women. They looked like they were flappers. They had that sparkly headgear on, and I could not see their full bodies on the opposite side of the bar, but they had these strapping little frilly dresses on that we've all seen in those 1940s movies and things.
Were they fully solid, or was there transparent?
Well, at this time, they're transparent, but they're vivid. They're very vivid, but transparent. I can see right through them to the other side of the bar. Right. I can see right through them.
Yeah.
So, to the 2 right, I could see on the 90-degree angle of the bar, I could see the 2 dudes, and they got pinstripe suits on, fedoras. And I could see, but you know what was most amazing was this. And again, I cleared away all the glassware, all the beer bottles, everything. And like I had, I said that for a reason. That's what my staff does. That's what we all do. And I know I did it. I know for a fact I did it. In front of the 2 gentlemen, the 2 dudes, they remind me of like gangsters, right? There was 2 shot glasses and a 5th of Jack Daniels in front of them. In front of the 2 women, there was 2 wine glasses and a bottle of wine. I'm like shaking my head. This is like unreal. I know I'm not dreaming. I'm fully awake, you guys. And throughout my experiences in life, this was like no big deal. I've already seen a damn Bigfoot. I've seen ghosts as a kid growing up, a UFO. So I'm more mesmerized and I'm more kind of into this. Yeah. I didn't feel threatened at all. And I'm looking and they're talking amongst themselves. I don't know what they're saying, but they're talking. So now I'm getting more, I want to know what's going on. I kind of want to hear. So I'm getting a little bit closer and I veer off to the left. And now I'm at the other end of the bar and they're at the other end. Rail to rail, as they say in the bar business. And I'm looking down. They're not paying any attention to me. And for whatever reason, I get kind of a little ticked off. They don't see that I'm here. So so first I go, and they ignore me. So I'm like, wow, what's taking place here? I take my fist and then I pound it at the edge of the bottom of the rail. Now I get their attention. The women kind of look at me, but then they go back to their kibitzing amongst each other. But the 2 dudes look at me, kind of tilt their head like this. I can see through them, right to the end. Very descriptive.
Did they make eye contact with you?
Yeah, I can see them. Again, I see through them, but I can see them. I'm looking at them. Vivid suits, but the colors were beautiful, but again, transparent. So I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then they kind of turn away and they go about their business. The guy to the furthest, the closest to me, that would be to the left of the other guy on his right. And again, I mentioned there's all this, there's glassware on there and a couple bottles of booze, a wine and a Jack Daniels bottle. You guys, the shot glass elevates with this ghostly hand wrapped around it. The shot glass is no more than 12 inches only above ground, though. Above the top of the surface of the bar, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
Then it kind of slips out of this ghostly hand, and it hits the top of the bar, which is kind of a wood bar, but it was a sturdy wood, right? One that's made for bars. It can take the daily pound and grind, I should say. Now, if anybody knows anything about a bar shot glass, and you can even buy them for your personal use, they're very sturdy. They should not break. They should not fall 12 inches, hit a wood bar, and shatter. You could take one and gun it. You'd have to gun it like a baseball toss on cement to make it shatter, because they're made to last for decades, centuries even. This thing shatters all over the place on top of the bar. And I'm looking down there, and I'm like, this is odd. And now these apparitions are kind of all kind of looking at me, and they slowly started to fade away, and they started appearing older and older and older, and they morphed almost skeleton form and were gone. Now I'm like, holy cow! So I go towards the other side of the bar, and to investigate, right? And I see all the broken glass. I see the beer bottle, the whiskey fifth and the other wine. I put my fingers in the whiskey, smell it. It's definitely whiskey. It's definitely glass. There's residue of wine in the other two wine glasses. And then I'm looking around. There's nothing else, apparent in the bar. And then for whatever the reason, I got around and went back of the bar because I want to know where they got this fifth of Jack Daniels from because it was newly cracked. I don't know if it is today. I think they're mostly. I guess they still make glass. I don't drink whiskey or nothing like that. So I've been far removed from the bar business since 2020. But there was always a paper label where you when you open a brand new fifth, it rips, so you know if it's been opened or not. That's how I used to judge it back in the day.
Right.
And I looked on the shelving where the Jack Daniels was on display, and this bottle was actually taken from the back, not from the front. Normally, when the bar help, they'll take the bar off, and then there'll be a space. But I typically would have them face the shelves at night, which means pulling the products forward. Okay, that wasn't faced. It was faced, but in the back, I knew there was four bottles. There was one from the back. And the wine, I didn't really pay attention to the wine. That was definitely taken from the wine area. But after, I said, wow, they took this from the back somehow. I immediately, now I'm not scared. I immediately run. I've got it. I know this has got to be captured on my video.
You said you had security cameras.
I had security cameras. I had put them in like 3 years prior in 2017. Well, good old boss man BMR, they always preach to my people to put on the security cameras. Didn't have mine on, man.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh man!
I wonder what it would have captured. I mean, it definitely would have captured the glass drop.
Dude, it should have seen the physical glasses being. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude!
You've told me this story before.
Yeah.
I heard this one.
I want to mention really quick to the audience because we don't have a lot longer tonight, but phone lines are open if you want to call in. 219-230-4444, 260-225-9419. And then there's also Skype ID oojblandoo or jblandparanormalsoup if you want to call in. Wow. Yeah.
Are you guys ending at midnight tonight?
Probably roughly because he's got to get up in about 6 hours from there, I think. Okay. And I do too, actually.
Okay. Well, all right, because I'm gonna dip then.
All right, man. That's why I figured keep on going and no commercial break at all because I know he's got to be up early.
Yeah, and I got to work, man. So I got to hit and I got to go out to the ranch and feed the animals. We're late because I didn't get to. We got all these fire watches because long story short, the cold. So the fire department makes so we got like 4 of them going. It's like crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you, Josh, for coming on.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, good seeing you, Rob and Jamie.
Always good seeing you, Josh, of course.
Jason, you're going to have Kevin on next
Sunday, and then the following Sunday, I don't have anybody at the moment. So if you got somebody.
I just corresponded with him today or yesterday, a little bit. I didn't realize he had sent me a whole thing, and I just approved his friend request recently, and I was like, I looked through all these, and I saw him pop up. That's funny. So, yeah, I'll be back next week, though. All right, guys.
All right. Have a good one, Josh.
All right. Bye.
All right, Josh.
But, yeah, phone lines are open, guys, if you want to call and join us, share your information. Did you get seeds from China? Let me know those things.
Oh.
I missed
that, man, because I'm not always up to date with things with work and stuff, but I did catch part of this when I was backstage. That's disgraceful. That the priest,
the exorcism thing,
identity and taking money.
Oh
from
my
people.
god! What low lives, man.
Oh my God, dude.
He's somebody I would like to try to get on the show. I don't know the way to contact him.
No, I'm trying to. I'd love to have an exorcist on my show.
I've had a couple, but not like an official Catholic exorcist.
Right.
Like, I have a deliverance ministry, and then I've had people that are like offshoots that do the Catholic exorcism, but since it's not official, you know, because it's not ordained by the Catholic Church. She's somebody that would be an ordained Catholic exorcist. I'd be interesting to talk to.
That would be interesting. Boy, you know, I got to talk about Art Bell. We're talking about the Art Bell show. One of my favorite ones. There's two favorite stories I got, but he was speaking with a Roman Catholic exorcist, Father
Malachi Martin.
Yeah, there's like a 12-part series. I tell you what, BMR Rob. If there's one thing that terrifies me is the demons and the devils and the Exorcist and the movie The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with demons, I steer away from because I believe it.
Right.
Therefore, if I believe, I know it's true.
You know how dangerous it is. It's
Yes,
something to mess with.
but I tell you what, I did listen to that series with Art Bell, and it was incredible. Well,
I've always been interested in those interviews with Malachi Martin. We've talked about it on the show a lot lately.
Okay.
Is when he would talk about the perfectly possessed. John Beatham, I think, was the guy he talked about as an example of somebody who was perfectly possessed, who was later killed by his wife. But he met him, and he said, you'd run for the hills if you met them and you knew. But you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that they were perfectly possessed. You know, that they know they're perfectly possessed. These are people that made deals with the devil, in a sense. And, you know, they are perfectly possessed by the demon. They have no problem with it, the indwelling. And then if you read his first book, I was on Heather Wade's show, and she read this when we were talking about this before the show started. She read at the show start the chapter from his first book, Hostage of the Devil, where he talks about this priest who encounters this fully possessed man, and it's somewhere in I want to say it was it in Japan or China? I can't remember where it was, what part of the country, somewhere, or Japan. It was in Japan. And this man's face metamorphizing and changing as the house is burning down around him.
Oh, man.
As he's killed piles of bodies around him because he killed a bunch of people. This is the beginning of Hostage Devils. You want to talk about some frightening stuff? He opens it right up in that beginning of that book, and like seeing it change all these different faces and stuff. It just makes me wonder what happens to somebody when they're fully possessed. Whatever this thing is inside them, the demon, can it fully manifest itself through that person, in a sense, change them? The whole idea of werewolves, changelings.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff. Changelings, werewolves. That's, again, you know, and I heard, you know what really scared me the most? I was talking to somebody, and I get really freaked out. I was watching this exorcism where not recently though, because I stopped doing this because when the alleged devil was preaching and it was speaking in forked tongues, you know, where you can't understand, somebody was telling me that even through electronics that this stuff can be emitted into your home.
I got a story for you on that.
Oh God! Well,
So
you got to tell me, even though I'm terrified.
Yeah, so I did a show. You can go back in the long archive of Paranormal Soup, 10 years of doing this show.
Yeah, okay.
You'll find an episode. It's probably 4 or 5. I didn't have a lot of guests at first, so I would do topics, and I did one on demonic. You know.
Yeah.
And I was researching it, and you remember the Emily Rose?
Yes, I do.
The real case. I'm trying to think of their name at the moment. The real person. Somebody's gonna be there. Oh, and then we got another. Why is my mouse not working?
Hey, Summerside.
Summerside, thank you for the $20 donation. I was listening to the audio of the actual exorcism on my break from work. I'm sitting out in my car, listening to this.
Yeah.
And the voices, right, that she makes. And something scratches me on my back.
Oh, jeez. While you're
I've never listened to it. I've never listened to it again. I said one time, and it was that show that night. I played it, and I said, I'm not ever going to listen to that again. I was afraid to play it on my show. Because, yeah, right. And I was told this a long time ago, this danger, by, I used to go to this restaurant. It was owned by a bunch of Greek family, a couple different Greek families, and they were Greek Orthodox. And they've heavily believed in spiritual possession, their church. and they did the whole exorcisms. And the son, youngest son, is like, and his father confirmed this for me. He's like, we heard the tapes from our priest. You know, he let me listen to it, but he warned me that you should not to play around with this, and he didn't let me listen to the whole thing, but just to prove that this stuff exists. And he said that the priest told him just by listening, he's in danger, that it could come through the recording. I remembered that later when that happened to me, listening to that recording. I'm like, nope, not again.
No way. I've been trying to get this person on my show. They were telling me they believe in all that, and they think they're haunted by demons. It's just so weird when I do these shows. When I do demon shows, it doesn't seem like a lot of people watch because they're that freaked out. So they're not like the biggest audience, but still, it don't matter to me because I love the subject, although it frightens me. This girl was telling me that she thinks she's had demons following her throughout her life. And she was in her car. This reminds me of what you were telling me, driving to work, listening to whatever her typical talk show on the way in. When all of a sudden, there was static. Beautiful day, FM radio. Your radio does not go out. Scratchy static came in. And she goes, it was a demonic voice told her not to go to work.
Ooh. Don't go to work. I want to say to Herday Dylan, thank you for the $5 donation. It says, I try to stay away from the demonic because it will touch you. I had a crazy experience, and it was with it, and I stay away now. I think that's most people's experience. So it told her not to go to work?
Told her not to go to work, which seems kind of like a warning, right? A demon's not going to warn you. Well, when she went to work that day, somebody... had opened fire in the plant where she worked at, and I said,
where was this?
I think it was in West Virginia somewhere.
Okay, I want to know. I have a friend that was involved in a plant active shooter. That's
this was a couple of years. This is like West Virginia, if I recall. I talked to her last year, but I'm thinking, well, honey, you don't have demons. That was kind of an angel. We're warning you.
That's my friend's experience. My friend was literally in an active shooting at a factory. And
oh my God!
A person, Captain, shout out to you out there, that was not a worker there. Nobody knew who it was. Literally pointed him in a direction during the shooting. If he had gone the other direction, he would probably have been shot and killed with the people that went that way. And it saved his life. It opened a door. It had no access to this person. You know, he never figured out who it was, and nobody knew who it was, but saved his life. And nobody else seemed to see him but him, it seemed like, from the story. It's a crazy story. I have it up somewhere on the YouTube. But yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, you know, I don't know if that was demonic, if it's saving you.
Yeah, she says she has demons, but I told her the same thing. I think
it was trying to get her attention.
I think it was getting your attention, and it kind of gave you a warning not to go to work. Had you not gone to work, I mean, well, she didn't get. I mean, obviously, you know, I think there was a fatality. You know.
Yeah.
You know what I forgot to tell you though, for everybody to listen to that Let's Go. I'm sorry, because this is very important. What I forgot, I did some investigating. Remember, I talked about how they looked. I don't know why I forgot to tell you guys. I always tell everybody. When I did some investigation, my bar that I bought, and this makes sense of what I was looking at. It was a speakeasy.
Yeah,
and it was used as. Did I say that already before I started? Yeah. Okay, but yeah,
you kind of got that. You know, you did, and I wanted to ask too because I'm in Michigan City, Indiana.
Okay,
and this is was a place where Al Capone frequented. He had a house here out in Long Beach, I believe. It was shaped as a gun, and my cousin lived in a house where Al Capone had a whole secret. Stashing facility. I think they were stashing booze or stuff as they were, I think, bringing it through here, probably up through Michigan.
Yeah.
And usually going around from here and back and forth from Canada. Probably coming down from Michigan through here, or coming back around from Wisconsin. But whatever, he was processing it here in Michigan City, Indiana, because we found a secret doorway even in this house that had a tunnel and everything. You know, so Al Capone, and there's a place called Devil's Bridge here. That's the urban legend is that it's by these train tracks that Al Capone used to take people out there, not himself, but his henchmen, and execute them out there when the train would go by. You know, so we got a history here. I know somebody, my wife knew that it could possibly have been the great granddaughter of Al Capone because he had impregnated a number of mistresses.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole area around Lake Michigan was a lot going on with Al Capone, not just in Chicago.
No, not just. And I got to tell you, we don't have time. I know we're getting close, but it was like one of the stories in one of my books. I talked to this guy who's actually about. He lives in Groseal, Michigan, and he discovered a tunnel in his house that was used for bootlegging.
Yeah.
And he heard all these mysterious growls in his basement. Didn't know where it was coming from. Then he found this. He discovered a tunnel, and it went underneath the part of the Detroit River and led to this island. Long story. I'm not gonna get into it.
Well, I'm interested.
And he went to the island, and there was like dogmen he found on the island. He saw literal dogmen on the island.
You know what's so weird about all this story is I'm working on a fictional story.
Okay.
And mine's about. I'm setting it in somewhere in Michigan. I need somebody in Michigan to talk to, even though I'm not far from Michigan.
Right.
But a Michiganer to get my facts state. You might be my guy because
Yeah.
a lot of this has to do with a funeral home that about a changeling, somebody who's trying to metamorphose into what you would call a dogman.
Yeah.
They're purposely trying to do it. This is about Satan, demons, the whole deal, and all this, but it all takes place like Michigan. And in this funeral home I want to have it was partly a part of a bootlegging mafia kind of thing going on, not mafia, but Al Capone kind of thing going on Lake Michigan.
Well, we have the Michigan Triangle, all sorts of weird things out there as well. You heard the story about the Lake Michigan UFO incident, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
360.
I see during that time period, because we're right on Lake Michigan here at Michigan City. I had a UFO, the 97, fly over my head and 4 other friends' head. This thing was rectangular. Downtown Michigan City, 11 o'clock at night. Went right over our heads, like the scene out of Star Wars. When I looked up, it just started to come over my head like the Star Destroyer does in Star Wars. And it went silently 600-700 feet up over our heads. And all those people the next day, except for maybe one, had somewhat of a memory of it. The other ones had no memory of it, except for me. And there's that whole time period. And there was lights over the lake people were seeing at that time. There was a number of sightings that year.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, that was fascinating. 360 they caught on radar or something. That was just. Then they disappeared.
Yeah.
A lot of them disappeared right into the Lake Michigan, from what I understand.
And you, what was the UFO you saw? I know we're going to run out of time here. But
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's just
interested
very
a bit on
brief.
that.
No, it's very brief. I've seen 2 that I know. One I know is UFO. When I was a little kid, I was saying started way early. Again, I saw a ghost at 5, and then about 7 or 8, my mom, she's waking me and my brother up, especially early for school. And you know that we know as little kids when we have to get up for school, and this was entirely too early.
That'll be tomorrow morning for me.
Yeah. Right. I got to get up in 5 hours. But anyway.
I got a 13-year-old and 9-year-old to get up in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, so Robbie, Davey, my brother's name's Dave, and come quick. I got to show you something. So my mom, gets out of bed. Again, we're little kids, but we're still, aware of things. So we look out, and lo and behold, man, there's like a flying saucer. I always say the flying saucer because that's what it was called when we were kids. And it was lingering. It was hovering maybe 50 yards, I would say, up in the air. And it was somewhat big. It was like we had an 18-foot swimming pool in the backyard. It was probably about the size of that. And it was very cool. And I remember this because one of my favorite programs during that time period was Lost in Space. It looked like, dude.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yes, it reminded me of that. It was like a goldish. It was silver gold.
Like their ship. Like the ship.
Yeah, it
from
looked
Space.
like
yeah.
it.
I mean, it's your flying saucer right there.
Yeah, and that's why I said so. And then it just boom, darts straight up into the clouds and it's gone. So wow. So my mom gets on the phone, calls my dad. I remember this. Now we can't fall asleep. We're excited. Me and my brother saw a spaceship, and of course, back in the day, wives don't call the men at work when you worked on the line because their boss you'd get in trouble. Just today's that world back then.
Yeah.
When I was growing up I grew up I was born in the late 60s. So anyway, Don't tell me that. Wait, I can't believe you got me on the phone for this. So anyway, he hangs up the phone off. I'm on. That night on late night radio, me and my brother were in our bedroom. My mom, come quick, boys.
Back up from the mic.
Come quick, boy. Man, my mic is popping tonight. I normally don't have that.
You get close to it and it's like you get muffled.
Yeah, okay, I'm
on
sorry.
it.
So
It's all right.
Anyway, gets me and my brother out of our bedroom. My dad is now home, and on the late night news, it made the late night news. About 50 to 150 people called in, saw something weird in the sky in my part of town where I live. They called into the news, and of course, as you know, they made fun of it, made a joke about it.
Or they always, yeah.
You know.
Now they don't as much, but they
Yeah.
still feel like they do. But
people allegedly see spacecraft and aliens in this part of Michigan. It was like, and I'm like, oh my God, we did see that. Then my dad is like, oh, holy cow, Pam, my mom's name. It's, I guess you did see something. At least you saw something.
Yeah.
And of course, people said it was, weather balloon or some BS like that.
Swamp gas. Whatever. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
Yeah, they made up a lot of excuses. Well, I want to thank you, Rob, tonight
Yeah.
for being on.
I had a great
So
time, man.
you would check out Bigfoot Michigan Rob. You got your YouTube channel. We have the links in the show description. Your 2 books on Amazon. Bigfoot Michigan Rob's presents True Cryptid Encounters, Volume 1 and 2. Do you have another book on the way coming out? You
No,
think?
I'm going to put the Encounter series to bed because I'm going to move on. I'm thinking about doing my life experiences because I know I got enough for a book
Should.
out of that. Just what I told you today.
Well, we definitely got to come on the show and talk more about it too.
Yeah, not a
We
problem.
definitely got to get you back on. What were you going to say, Jamie? Sorry.
I've been putting the book links in both of the platforms also.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and my channel. I'm on 3 days a week, which is pretty cool. Trying to build that up. It's simply Bigfoot Michigan Rob. That's cool. I appreciate you guys. I shared this on my social media for you too, or earlier
Thank you.
for you guys. I'm in 2 groups, or I'm in a lot of groups, but the ones that I use the most, I put you guys on for you.
Well, thank you.
Hopefully, you got some action.
Tomorrow I'll be on Texas Front Porch at 8 p.m. Central.
Oh,
People check that
my
out
buddy
too.
Tex, yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome, guys. You've been awesome. I thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, no, I
Josh
appreciate
Turner, thank you for getting you on here, and Tex and the other guests. He's been awesome with that. And we got to get you more time. Maybe I'll find you. We can get you scheduled on when you might have like a Monday off, a Monday holiday. We can stay.
Well,
up
yeah,
later and do it long.
it's just typically though. I normally, because I have a side job, I do bar consulting. I go into bars and I kind of, if they want to hire me on, I give them a.
You get to be like the what's that
John
show?
Tapper.
Yeah.
I stole
Bar
the idea
rescue,
from him. I've been doing this since last year, and I had actually gotten 8 clients in 12 months, and I got 2 this Monday and Tuesday, and I got to go in super early before they open. And
Yeah, I do it every Monday. I get up during the school year. I get up at 6 or 6:30 a.m. to get my sons ready for school. So when I
Yeah.
get done with the show, I hurry up, get stuff done for the night, and then go to bed and get up in 4 hours and do that. But I get to
And-
sleep in afterwards.
Yeah.
Real fast, can I ask, what was the third thing that you mentioned? Was it your website?
No, just my YouTube channel on YouTube, Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Well,
I don't have a website, but whatever.
I do. It costs too much. The only reason I have one is so I can do that. We're on internet radio, and you have to have a website to play the internet radio off of.
Gotcha.
And I don't know how much for people listening on internet radio. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last with that because the server costs are for that the domain names, everything to have a website now is so damn expensive. It's not. I don't know if it's worth it.
And I don't know either. I don't know about you guys, and I don't. Just a quick thing is I upgraded all my stuff to do podcasting, and now the cable company I use is going out of business, and now I have to switch over to YouTube TV for my cable, but it's gonna be all totally wireless. So now once again I have to get 1 gig of internet to run my shows, which I don't mind that. I just hope that I hope it don't lag. 1 gig
you
should cover everything.
Yeah. See, I have unlimited data. I paid for that and fastest internet because I knew I'd be doing this show. And we watch all of our TV through the internet. I cut the cable a long time ago.
So you have no
long
problems with
time
your
ago.
hookup?
Nah.
Okay.
But you get lag from more of the apps than you do it's from your internet. My internet speeds are great, but that's where I'm at. My buddy who lives out of the city part where I lived in and lives in more of the county, he pays for the same internet, same company, and man, his download speed is horrible. Like I play games and he'll try to download a game, it'll take forever. Like for him to download, it would take me 10, 15 minutes. It'll take him 45. I'm like, dude, I have the same internet. It depends on if they got the fiber. You find out if you got fiber wire, they're running for your internet. That's the speeds and stuff, they're running. Yeah, it's fun doing the technical stuff of the show, but your internet probably should be fine with that. If you need any help with that, let me know.
Yeah,
all
I
right,
will.
Rob.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it coming on. Nice meeting you, Jamie.
Yeah, all right, man. That's it for the show. Check out Bigfoot Michigan Rob's YouTube channel, and we will be back next Sunday with Kevin Murphy. He was originally scheduled for tonight, but he's like, I'm open whenever. We wanted to get Bigfoot Michigan Rob on, and we're gonna get Kevin on next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Join us then. Thank you to everybody who donated tonight on the super chat, and I'm gonna get those out there. Welcome to the show. Super sticker he gave there. Thank you. 99 cents. Dollar counts. $3.50 from King Dibbies. Thank you. And then Summerside of Life, $20 donation. And Her Day, Dylan, I think to get that right, $5 donation. Thank you guys. It helps pay the bills for the show, as I mentioned, are going up. So every little dollar you donate helps. You can check us out on Patreon as well. And this summer, we're going to try to do some exclusive stuff for Patreon and YouTube memberships. So check us out there. Thank you guys for joining us. See you next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great night. See you next week.